From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have Derek Crager with me, and Derek and I are going to talk about all things AI. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I have my guest, Mr. Derek Crager. Hey Derek, how you doing, man?
I am doing great, Rob. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, such a pleasure. So I keep saying one of these days I'm going to start recording all the conversations before the podcast because sometimes they're the better ones.
There you go,
But
the
that's
green room.
the green room, yeah. We're going to talk about all things AI today, and we're going to talk about your product, practical AI. We'll dive into that. It's an interesting week in AI space because Gemini 3 is now out, right? So that kind of changed the landscape a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of salutes. It's a game of leapfrog, though. It's
Mhm.
one and then the other. You got the big ones in North America, U.S. Foundation, and then you've got those ones overseas. A lot of the Chinese that they you find on Hugging Face that meet all these criteria, but then you got to weigh one against the other, and then what do? We just got to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, it's funny because just for fun, I ran some tests this week, uh, comparing Gemini 3 against ChatGPT 5. And I got to tell you, at this point in time, and we all agree it's a game of leapfrog. You and I have been in this space a long time. Gemini 3 outperforms ChatGPT 5. And I'm not talking marginally, I'm talking dramatically. So that's interesting.
Oh, good. You ran those tests. It's important that we validate all these things ourselves for sure. I think that's
Yeah.
a great direction. Empowerment of the consumer.
Yeah, it's so true. And I have to admit, I'm kind of biased because I use a Pixel phone. So even if it didn't quite outperform, I'm probably not changing AI products. But that leads me to my question. How did you end up in the AI space?
How did I end up in the AI space? Well, I had a stepping stone to get here, Rob. The stepping stone was that I was around long enough to see the internet, make its debut in the consumer market in 1989.
Me
And
too.
back then, I ended up being I was told I've got no plaque on the wall. YouTube wasn't around to give us our plaques, but I was told that I had one of the first 100 online e-commerce stores, and that's in the world. When
Yeah.
the internet came about. But it was so nerdy back then. It was all techie. And I thought, well, by 1993, one of my distributors for my product said, hey, we discovered this internet thing. We want to sell
Mhm.
online. So that means you can't. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to argue. I'm getting my product from you. Just buy me out and I'll close shop. So I closed down in 1993, about 2 years before Amazon and Jeff Bezos started up. And it really wasn't around until 2006 where the internet really came flush. The big wave hit when cell phones got internet and mobile browsers. But I share that as the stepping stone because I put my head in the sand when the internet came about. I was such a geek, I didn't realize that the growth was going to go global. So this time around,
Yeah.
AI is that next wave. And it's not a wave so much as technology as it is for information sharing, another way to
Mhm.
access information. So the feather in my cap in corporate wise is that I built Amazon's highest rated employee training program in their company history. So I believe in knowledge. I think if we have knowledge, if when we need it, as we need it, and in the amounts that we need it, that all of us will be successful. So I leveraged all that experience and I saw AI and I started up Practical AI and I said, what can I do to help out the individual here and the companies that are out there? And that's what I'm doing today. That was my path into AI is I see the value AI has to deliver the information we need when we need it. So that's the finish line that I got to get me here and started my next race to develop that out fully.
Yeah, so true. I think part of the problem with AI is the average person doesn't understand it and they get really threatened by it. Oh, they hear the word AI, and the first thing that comes to mind is we're going to lose jobs. And I don't buy that. And I'll tell you why I don't. We've been through evolution in business before. If you're a reader, the printing press is a marvel. There was a time when the printing press didn't exist. And when the printing press came out, everybody said we were going to lose jobs in the book industry. Didn't happen. Every time we automate, take the auto industry, there's the big one that revolutionized automation on the assembly line. That didn't cost jobs. So I'm not convinced AI is going to cost jobs. What do you think about that?
Well, it's always a short-term, long-term perspective. In the short term, it's going to
Yep.
cost individuals jobs.
Hmm.
It's their individuals are going to feel the pain. We look back and to add to your list, the agricultural revolution. There used to
Yep.
be one
Oh, yeah.
farmer that would feed two families, and now it's one farmer feeds 1,000 families. And
Yeah.
somebody Google that for me to see if that's a valid number, but it's magnitudes of difference. And I'm venture to say, Rob, that I'm happy I don't have to farm every day just to feed my family. So in the long term, yeah, there's a benefit. It not only
Yep.
adjusts the job, I guess the job or the career demographics. That's what it really does. It
Hmm.
reallocates people to where they are best suited. And overall, year by year, decade by decade, century by century, even those of us that across the spectrum, if we're not making as much as the next person, we still have a better quality of life because of overall economic success of all the technology it has brought us.
Hmm. So true. Um, I think the other thing is the average person thinks AI is as simple as we ask it a few questions, we get a few answers, and that's the end of it. And they really don't understand the intricacies of AI. I mean, we got everybody from coders using it to, I hate to say it, hackers using it. My most biggest pet peeve right now. They make my life miserable, but that's okay. And so on and so forth. Um, what do you think, besides gathering knowledge, is the biggest use for AI at this point?
Well, for me, the biggest use of my focal point is using AI to think with the human, not to think for the
Yep.
human, but to think with the
Yep.
human. And that's why I believe that the the singularity point in AI is not so much about the technology; it's about the interface with humans. So we've
Hmm.
looked at HAL, from what was that 1969 or from the original movie to the Star Trek episodes where hey
Yep.
computer talk to me and everything in between. And the best that we've had as consumers up to this point is, hey Alexa or Siri or
Yep.
Google, and that's just kind of a basic Q&A. But if we look at the motion pictures and the television shows, it's true conversations with the individual, and that's where we're at today. And I think that is the most useful part of AI today is being able to corral it, to rein it in, to deliver us a specific uh, solution, a specific goal to whatever our needs are in the moment. And
Yeah.
if we do it through conversation, then we bypass that copy and paste concern that schools had, 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if we talk to AI, that knowledge has to go into our brain before we can do anything with it. So we actually have to process it. And that's where I get the thinking with the human rather than for the human. That's the most important part right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now let's jump in. Practical AI. There's many AI products out on the market. Let's be fair, tons of them. I mean, all you got to do is do a search. What does your product solve? What issue does it solve?
Well, Practical AI, the company name is I want to live up to that expectation. It's part of our mission to make things practical and usable. Stay away from the headline, go getter type of stuff that may or may not be, good for humanity. You mentioned that we're in a polarizing here. People love it or people hate it. And, really 3 years here, 3 years into the consumer market for AI, and I'm talking like the Chat GPTs and such, we're at that human element. We really don't know what we're going to do with it yet because that pendulum keeps swinging back and forth. So practical AI was built to deliver products that serve the human, not replace the human. That's a major goal because primarily we're at a fork in the road, Rob. We can either replace all the humans, and then what would humans do, right? My thought comes, idle hands or the devil's work type of thing, if we want to keep religion on the table, which a lot of people like to. But so there's replacing humans and there's augmenting humans, and I truly believe that if we replace humans, it's going to look great for our business bottom line for 2-3 years. But then, because humans are the ones that, by definition, think outside the box, and AI also, by definition, is inside the box, AI by itself will not come up with those, Leonardo da Vinci thoughts. There would be no Tesla moments or Albert Einstein moments of how we can do more. So when we augment humans with AI, what we're doing is taking away their mundane tasks, giving humans the ability to capture the moment and have answers in the moment so they can finish up their project. And it will actually reduce their laborious task, whether it's blue collar or white collar, it doesn't matter. And it will allow that human in their career path or career role to sit back and actually use their brains more to think about not just doing the task, but how can we do this task better? How can we do this task safer? How can we do this task more efficient? For companies, it's like, how can we increase ROI by doing this task or maybe replacing this task? All the while, this augmentation allows what's the psychological term? It reduces cognitive load of the human. And that's the best partnership we can have.
Yeah. But why, and I'm just wondering, why would I go to a product like Practical AI instead of going to Gemini directly or ChatGPT directly?
Well, you started out saying, that people have questions and there's answers out there too. And the main difference here is that ChatGPT, Perplexity that leverages all of them, Claude, all the ones that are out there that are large language models serving, the populace here, global Earth, they have been trained on every bit of knowledge of humanity. So if you have ever been asked a question and there's more than one answer, so you have to explain, well, it could be A if this, or it could be B if that. That's kind of like the basic of the problem when they talk about LLMs hallucinating. And that's really the difference. There's a consumer level of LLMs, and that's what we have out there to us for, $20 a month for a subscription plan, or the enterprise level. And that's what I work on, the enterprise level, where we box up that knowledge and we put guardrails on these LLMs and we layer it so they work together in this cool recipe that delivers the right information at the right time in the right amount. And because we box up the knowledge domain, our LLMs are not grabbing answers from out in the wild. Because you go to ChatGPT, you ask a question, you're going to get multiple answers, or you're only going to get the one answer that it feels you want to hear at that moment with no validation or limited validation. It truly is biased, but not purposely biased. It's kind of like biased like our tires when we're out of alignment on our car. It has a natural pull one way or the other. So that's the difference here between the out in the wild LLMs and the things that we function on, the enterprise capable and level products.
Yeah. And I take it on the back end, you're probably interfacing with multiple elements, not just one. I would assume that.
We are. Yeah, we are. We're technology agnostic. We're neuro agnostic, to throw out a psychological term. we work one-on-one with the individual to best align whatever knowledge base that is, SOPs, manuals, how-tos, to align with how I would talk, how the caller would talk, how the
Yeah.
person would talk. And just like you and I are
Yeah.
talking through voice and microphone and headset, we operate the same way.
Yeah. What industries does your product serve best?
Our primary target is industrial manufacturing. My background is actually boots on the
Yeah.
ground. I came out of high school with I was always great at math, but my family has educational ignorance back in the day, so I didn't know what paths were availed to me back in the day. So I ended up actually going to skilled trades through an apprenticeship, and I ended up working on multiple construction sites. I've worked for Ford and GM and Chrysler. I've worked inside Eli Lilly building things out. So I've had some cool. And from my time on the floor, I ended up walking or working my way up to engineering and then talent development and then training. And that ended when I was at Amazon with that training program that I spoke of earlier.
Mm. So that's interesting. Um, is it a costly product if somebody wants to get in on is it, I would assume there's a setup fee plus a monthly or an annual fee typically?
Yeah, there's a revenue model for sure, and a any product that's out there that has any value, it's not about the cost itself; it's about the ROI. And
Yeah.
ROI is imagine having a call center with 10, 100, or 1,000 engineers just sitting there waiting for your call, as they say on TV, how expensive that would be. So our product is actually for pennies on the dollar. We capture that same experience and are able to deliver that at need. So the ROI is always, I think the last numbers we looked at 100 to 1 level. So we're a penny
Yeah.
for every dollar that you would pay to solve the same problem the old-fashioned way.
And it's not just that, it's a time saver too. And that's where I think business owners get caught on products like this, as they say, oh, it's a price point at X. And they don't realize they're just comparing pricing, let alone the time, let alone the accuracy, let alone everything else that goes into it. And that's a big factor as well.
It is, Rob, for sure. It's we fall into, I guess you would say, the existing service market would be work instruction or workforce instruction. And the old way of workforce instruction, I think the earliest models was, you hand somebody a paper manual, a guide,
Yep.
for process. And then they said, oh no, let's digitize it. So they scan it to a
Oh, yeah.
PDF. And then they say, well, now stop what you're doing, open up a laptop, get on your local Wi-Fi, type in your passwords, and find that PDF. Now that you've found it, search it, and it takes you out of the moment. So our product comes in here with using just a headset and a mic, and you just tap the easy button on your earpiece, and you say, "Hey, Pocket Mentor, talk me through this." And you're in the moment, your hands free, your eyes free to continue doing, just like you'd call up, your dad, your grandpa, your favorite friend who's done something you haven't, and say, "Hey, Joe, talk me through this. You've done this before." And the neat thing about it is our AI is infinitely supportive and patient. I'm not going to call you up at 2 a.m. and expect you to be happy to answer my call, right? If I had
No,
a
not
question to
not at
ask.
all. Not at all.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
the neat thing about our product here is that you press the button and it's scalable 24/7, 365 with the best answer at the time you need it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. We're all in a society where nobody wants to wait for anything. Let's be honest. It's a need it now. Look at the news. Look at how we function. Look at nobody's got honestly any patience anymore. Do you know what I mean? Everybody needs it when they want it. It's just the reality
Yeah.
of it.
Yep.
Um,
Instant gratification, I've heard.
yes, yes, yes. That has been going on for years. I hate to say it. But I have thoughts on that, but that's another show. Like it just we can go on about that all day. Um, does the Does your product also generate answers in just text or video or images or a combination of, depending on what the question is?
Well, our primary forte is in the ear. That keeps your
Okay.
hands and your eyes free to continue doing what you do. And it's a complement to, let's say, LMSs out there, learning management systems. It's a
Yep.
complement to, hey, I'm looking at this blueprint, help me read it type of thing. It could be, what is that third step of five that I was supposed to remember? I can drop what I'm doing and go back to my office or my car or my van or, the next building over and look it up. And that might take, half hour or an hour, or I may never find it. Or yeah, it's that answer in the moment. Hey, what was step three again? Oh, that's right. Thank you. And then you move on.
Yep.
So it
Yep.
keeps everybody productive.
Which is important. I mean, I think that's one of the best things AI products do is and this one as well, is they keep people productive. They keep people moving forward. You're not coming back and you're not, kind of doing it. Um, I think about products like this, and it's almost in not the old days, but a lot of people keep a lot of notes around. I don't know about you, but I have a high intensive note system. And I'm almost thinking with this, you probably don't need a lot of that, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the neat thing about it. Yeah, that the Post-it note, by the way, I think a lot of us already know the story of its origin. It was an accident, the
Yep.
Post-it note creation of, the glue specifically. And
Yep.
but yeah, we do use it, Post-it note here, there, somewhere else, and it's not for people that have a bad memory. It's for everybody. It's like, what do I need to know now? And you
Yeah.
put your finger on it there, it's augmenting the human at the right time. Because if, let's say I'm in an office, one of the biggest problem is, how do I change the toner in this laser printer? And it's
Oh,
something
yeah.
that's done, once a year, once every 6 months. So I don't need to remember that every day, all day long, because it pushes out the knowledge that I need uh, to be present for my normal stuff. So this is a way to just access, let's call it temporal knowledge. I hit the magic button on my earpiece and say, "Hey, Pocket Mentor, talk me through this. Oh, thank you." And then I forget about it and I move on. And I know it's there. Like you said, it's a virtual Post-it note. So yeah, it replaces the need to have notes all the way around. And it's also always up to date because it's a single source of truth, instead of having this Post-it note from last week and this Post-it note from 2 weeks ago, or maybe they don't have dates on it. And now I got to figure out which is the most up to date Post-it note. How about you? You ever had that experience?
Oh, way too well. I have a large note-taking system because I don't remember 90% of what I know where to go find it, but I don't remember stuff. So yeah, I've been there. It's a pain.
Well, on that remembering part, that's actually scientifically shown. I think it was a gentleman named Ebbinghaus, a scientist, who in around
Yeah,
1883 or so talked about the forgetting curve. That everything that we learn as humans, we forget half of it within 20 minutes. And by the end of
that's
the
true.
week, forget 90% of it. So you're not alone, Rob. Everybody is in the same boat out
Yeah, I just find I'm really good at knowing where to go to get what I need, and I think that this just helps you get what you need very quickly. Um, if somebody say comes to you and says, "I love this product, I want in," is the setup really hard or is it pretty easy?
No, it's real easy. It just we decide what knowledge domain, what problem we're going to solve. We take that information, we ingest it into our system, give you a phone number for your phone and a push button for your website, and then from that point forward, anybody can and tap and get the answer.
That easy. Um, how is the delay back on the answers? Is it pretty instantaneous or is it take a
Yeah,
minute or
the
two?
for the listenership out there, we call that latency, and it's responsive. It's human conversation, and it feels like a human. We're not trying to trick anybody,
No,
but
I
I
know.
mean, we anthropomorphize things in life. We name boats and cars, and with human names. So yeah, it's very responsive to the individual. It's right, keeps
Yeah.
that individual in the flow.
Yeah. And how long's the product been out there, Derek, on the market now,
Well,
roughly?
we went public back May 1st. It might
Okay.
have been May 3rd was the Monday. Is when we really did our corporate
Yeah.
enterprise launch. But the company itself is just turned a year old last month.
Oh, good. Congratulations on that. And how's the retention on clients? They just fall in love with this product pretty quick, I would assume.
Well, once they actually see the use, yeah, there's always that barrier of something new. So once we get past the barrier, then it's like, oh yeah, I'm impressed by this. I didn't think, or it beats my expectations. So that's our goal, right? Under
Yeah.
promise and over deliver.
No, I would agree with you. That's a big deal. And I think honestly with AI products, I think a lot of people are skeptical until they try them. And then they realize how that can help their workflow. And then their attitude changes once they find a use case for it. And I think that's the whole key. It's working through that workflow. And I think a lot of companies think, oh, I just go get an AI product and I'm done. No, I would disagree. I think you got to look at the workflow and see what you can do with that.
Yeah, that's agreed. MIT came out a month or two ago, wasn't it? That they said 95% of all AI adoption has failed at the corporate enterprise level. Only 5% have succeeded. So we come in to remove all the barriers, and we're not asking anybody to buy new equipment. No 3D goggles, no new tablets, no
Yeah.
new computers, because we're leveraging the existing workforce structure. So from an enterprise level, from a business level, you don't have that capex, that capital expenditure that you would have with traditional AI products, AI service. And we actually come in and are able to deliver that ROI on day one, which is really unheard of in the AI market.
Yeah, and it sounds like the kind of product where if I know what I want to ask it, I can start using it day one successfully. It doesn't sound like for the end user, there's a large learning curve.
Well, there's really no learning curve. It's just like I would call you up to pick your brain to help me out. That's all we're doing here. We're just putting a computer voice as a proxy.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get, I have to ask the question, did you get hit in any of the massive internet outages we had in the last couple of weeks like everybody else, or did you guys manage to
Well,
escape
I
all that?
yeah, everybody gets hit by that. What we have and we didn't even get blacked out because we have failover
Yep,
paths and
yep.
that sort of thing because we've learned. But yeah, I'm familiar with the slowdown that happened. Was it Cloudflare last week and
Yeah.
AWS a week
Ada
or two before?
and in the middle Azure just to make fun sense and go. And the problem with the Azure one was it impacted everything from Teams to you name it. And a lot of corporate phone systems now go through Teams.
Well, what's
So
that saying from long time ago? The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
they fall. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, it's just a pearl of what we do. You just got to get used to the outages and get used to that. Um, if you had thoughts on moving your product forward, besides trying to get some more customers, what changes would you make to it to make it better, if you can share?
For us, the product itself is at a sweet spot. It really hits the solution. But the what we're developing and continue to develop is the back end. What's that business
Yeah,
intelligence look like?
yeah,
And we align with all the security and privacy of the companies that we work with, and we in our goal though is to deliver this business intelligence on the back end. And it's like it identifies what's the number one problem or the top three and the top 10 problems. Let's align and prioritize. How much time are we saving? We calculate that. In manufacturing and industry, we talk about increasing uptime, reducing downtime, because that has a huge swing. It's kind of like those a dollar saved is a dollar earned perspectives. And it's that delivery and understanding the customer to find out what those KPIs are so we can make sure that they're not only getting use on the front line to make their businesses more productive, but they see the specific numbers and results on the back end that will allow them to say, hey, you know what, maybe we should emphasize or grow training in this point, or here's some information that is inaccurate that we need to update on our internal wiki pages, etc. And that's the Q&A. We want to make that those dashboards interactive as well.
Yeah, I would agree. It's interesting. You mentioned privacy and security in there. And, in some industries, healthcare being the biggest one, financial being right behind it, those are big concerns for people jumping into AI models. And it's funny, as we were coming in this conversation yesterday, I was reading an article that one of the biggest hospitals in Canada is now using AI models to help speed up the flow to the emerge by doing doctors' notes and consolidating them and making them easier. So even all the industries that are concerned about privacy are jumping into AI more and more. So I think that stigma is starting to disappear.
I agree with you. That is a telltale right there.
Yeah, I think it's happening, and I think it's and to be fair, those industries, I hate to say it, like to hide behind regulation. The regulation says we can't do this, so we don't have to go there. And I've worked in that industry in IT, and I just shake my head at some of it because, the argument in healthcare used to be for years and financial. Let's use a fax machine because faxes are secure. And I said, "Oh, really? So what happens when I walk past the fax machine and pick up all the papers and put them in my briefcase and walk away?" Oh, well, but, you know, like, what can I say, right?
Yeah, that's true. There's a weak link in every chain that's out there. And that's why the first thing we do is adopt and adapt the specific solutions that the companies we work with already have. And if we see any blanks, if we see any gaps in their security process, then we speak to that at the time of implementation.
So true. I think that's really important. Um, what I was going to say was I really enjoyed the conversation. I wish you guys well with the product. It sounds like you're making a dent in the market, which is good. If somebody wants to find out more about the product, about you, about the company, how's the best way?
Yeah, absolutely. You can Google me and probably find a link to me somewhere. You can find me on LinkedIn. Our company site is practicalai.app. That's .app, practicalai.app. And then as far as what else I've been up to, I've got a book that's being released before the end of the year called Human First AI. It's really a
Awesome.
narrative storytelling of this fork of the road that we're at. Should we choose a replacement or
Yeah.
should we choose augmentation? So it's that's at humanfirstai.net, and I'll give every one of your listeners a free chapter there if they want to tune in.
Yeah. Are you self-publishing the book, Derek, on Amazon, I assume? Or is that,
It should be out in Amazon by January 1st, if not
oh,
sooner.
good.
And then we also have other partnerships that are out there as well. So looking for feedback and an understanding. We're just trying to inform the public what's going on in AI, and it actually speaks to that question you had. Are we replacing people or augmenting people? And it's going to be up to us to choose and decide.
No, I true. And I think not only choose and decide, but to educate people. I think that is so key in this space. I think, every time I see a quick news article, it's like, how much can you throw in 30 seconds? And the reality is not much. And I think people like you and I need to just keep educating people and saying, no, really, this is how it works and this is why. And the more people know, it's back to the old knowledge game, the more they're not as jittery and not, feeling stressed and other things, right? So I think that's key.
100% agreement with you, Rob. And that's why I'm so appreciative for you inviting me on your show today.
Yeah. And thank you very much for joining us. And I wish you well with the book. Taking on a book project is a lot of work. So good luck with that.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. Very special thank you to Derek for joining me on this edition of the STM Show. The STM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.